Sup world, my name is John, and what I'm doing right now with my free time is I'm trying to pre-record all these videos. I'm trying to put my crazy life story out there. I'm in Czechia right now, and today is February 23rd. It's actually Friday, and this morning I went to a doctor. I had a doctor appointment, and I was supposed to get some blood work results if I do have the Lyme disease or I don't. But funny thing happened. They forgot to do those tests, and I was wondering, when I went to the doctor last time for getting the blood drawn, and the nurse, doctor's assistant, she didn't. She just got little bit of blood out of me, and I was wondering, is this gonna be enough blood for all these tests that doctor said she's gonna do on me? But indeed, it wasn't enough blood because she didn't draw any blood for all these tests, and they completely forgot about the Lyme disease and chlamydia and infection tests having done. The only test that she got done out of that blood was, just a basic blood test, vitamins, minerals, cholesterol, gout. I don't know what else was on there, but she told me all my blood work results was in within normal limits. So from that basic test, she of course cannot tell if there is anything wrong with me. So I have to go again next week Tuesday to get my blood drawn for all the other tests she was talking about, Lyme disease and all that. So at this point, I still do not know what's wrong with me, with all my joints stiff and my muscle stiffness and my fatigue and my heart arrhythmia, or whatever I should call it, like panic attacks or whatever. My insomnia. I got all these things going on. I don't really want to talk about it. I want to talk about something else, because maybe there is absolutely nothing wrong with me. Maybe it's all in my head, just like all the doctors were saying. It's all in my head. It's just maybe a stress or depression or whatever. My nerves. I don't know. I will never know, I guess. So that's why I'm having all these tests done, just to make sure that nothing's wrong with me, and I can maybe stop thinking about it all the time. Maybe I'm just thinking about myself way too often, too much. So one of the reasons I'm recording these videos is, empty my brain, so I can release all the information out of my head, and the story, the things that I've been through might be part of it. Maybe I keep storing in my head too many information that I don't really need to remember. So so on my previous video, I was talking about how I started cleaning floors at a Walmart store in Americus, Georgia. All right, so that was my destination, and in that location I stayed for about 16 months, and what I was doing was just working, sleeping, eating, and that's it. At one point in the beginning, I tried to join a gym, and we would with one of the guys that were working with me, Martin. We would go to gym, and and lift the weights and try to get back in shape, but it wasn't possible to do this kind of uh, level of lifting together with going to work every night and day, because I wouldn't be getting enough sleep. So eventually I was so exhausted that I ended up at a hospital for uh, they called it panic attacks, or they actually didn't diagnose it. They told me it's my stomach, but I went to doctor to emergency room for a couple more times, and at those times they diagnosed it as panic attacks. But what I actually think, it was just exhaustion, and so we were working, cleaning floors, waxing, sometimes having some fun, drink beer or whatever. And I met a bunch of new people. People keep coming and leaving, and I was like the only person that stayed on that one spot in that one apartment for so long, about 16 months in one spot. And I was working, saving money, trying to save as much money as possible. And then one day, when we were all sleeping, the phone rang. It was my mom. So I picked up, and she goes like, "Hey John, are you okay? There is war in America. Are you guys fine? Is everybody okay? What's going on in America? There is war." And I'm like, "What? What the hell are you talking about? I just woke up, and I looked out a window." I like crazy. I looked out a window, and I'm like, everything is fine in America. Why? What's going on? In New York, there are terrorists, and they blew up the skyscrapers. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, what the hell? Okay, mom. Okay, thanks. We're all good. I'm gonna check it out, but nothing's happening over here. In Georgia. It's like 3 years away. So I hung up and then turned on the TV, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I saw the one of the twin tower buildings of the WTC in smoke, smoking, and like 1 minute in watching this live broadcast, the other plane hit the other tower, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And that's how I learned about the 9/11. So it was 9/11. It was like, I don't know, in the morning, 9, 10 o'clock, something like that. And that's how I learned about 9/11. And of course, I woke up everybody, and then since that moment, we've been watching this, and how it all develops, and then the towers fell down, and it turned into total apocalypse. It was disaster. And of course, ever since that day, we've been watching this, and we've been under lots of pressure and lots of tension, terrorists everywhere, and of course we got scared because of the immigration laws, and if we're gonna get in any kind of, if we are going to get in any kind of trouble at the airport, if we need to fly overseas, or back, or whatever, so that was the 9/11. Of course, I started. I even made a video about it, because at that time I was already making some videos for myself or for friends. I bought me my first computer in America, and I had a VCR, and I had a CD burner, DVD burner, and basically the video, some of the not all of it, but some of the videos that I recorded on my mini DV camera, I would upload to my computer. Then I used some kind of software I cut, and then I would burn either DVD, or I would record it on the VCR tape from the computer. So actually, back in 2001, that was actually my first time when I actually started editing and recording videos, and I would send these DVDs and VCRs to Czech Republic, to either my family or my girlfriend to see, you know, and that was my beginnings. I didn't do that for long. I didn't sustain this because eventually I got so tired that I didn't have time for anything else. Just work and sleep, and so I never actually pursued this kind of hobby. I never moved it to anything bigger than just this. Just doing it for just fun. And I also remember downloading a bunch of songs off of Napster. That was the first experience with file sharing, and at that time I wasn't I was kind of losing touch with my girlfriend. I think we broke up because it was really long time to be separated, and she found somebody else. And I also during that period of 19 months in United States, I only had sex like maybe 4 times, 5 times, and that was really frustrating for me because I was used to have sex like on daily basis, and in America I just couldn't get a woman, like either American or Czech or whatever. I just couldn't find a woman, and I was already like 26, 27 years old, and I was basically almost a virgin. you know so because I've been missing many things in America, and pussy was one of them things, and I was getting so tired, and I basically saw myself wasting away, you know and the only thing I was gaining out of it was the money. So one day I had saved up about $25,000, and in like overnight, like basically just one day I woke up, and I told myself, I've had enough of this life. I can't do this anymore. So I've decided I'm gonna quit this job, cleaning Walmarts and dealing with stupid people, stalkers, or customers who would constantly walk on my freshly waxed floor, or I don't know. I was just tired of everything, so I've decided one day that I'm gonna go back home. So I I quit. I got paid out, and I got on plane, and I flew back home. Of course, I notified my ex girlfriend about it, and when I came home here, we got together, and we went to the very first night, maybe the same night I arrived. We went out for dinner to get a pizza, and she was like grabbing my crotch, and she was telling me like, I'm so horny, let's go to hotel or whatever. So so we went to hotel, and I mean, she was completely after 19 months, she was completely different person, and I probably was too, and I was also very tired that day, that night, and I couldn't even get a boner, so we kind of fucked, but we didn't really, you know, we didn't really make love or whatever, you know. It was miserable, you know, 15 minutes or whatever. So after that, we kind of hooked up for next 2 days. So we were like 3 days together, and when we broke it off, I was like, you know, this doesn't make any sense to me or her or whatever. So we kind of broke it off, and then I went to the building where I used to have my gym, and I wanted to see if the girls, you know, in the neighboring shops, uh, like they were like a furniture shop or a grocery shop and a drugstore, you know, cosmetic store. So I was wondering if some of the girls are still working in there, and of course, one of the girls that I was talking to like on daily basis when I was bored in the gym, I would go talk to the girls in the shops, and she was there, you know, and she when she saw me, you know, she like started, you know, crying like crazy, you know, and she was so happy to see me. And I don't know why. I didn't even know that she liked me so much, you know, because she had a boyfriend and all that. So since that day, I started banging that girl, and man, I was sleeping at her place, like her mother's place. I was sleeping there, like, you know, every day, and we would have, you know, sex, and for me it was, man, like a release of my fucking balls, you know, because I didn't have sex for like, you know, 19 months regularly like this. So we've been fucking like rabbits, you know, like 3 times a day, and man, it was it was crazy. So with that girl, you know, she changed too. She gained, you know, some weight, and she used to be like really pretty. And when I came back, she wasn't as pretty as she used to be, but she wasn't still like, you know, ugly or old or whatever. I mean, she was nice young lady. So we had some fun together, and we traveled, and we went to Prague, and you know, basically we spent about a month and a half together. Her name was Lida, Lydia, or whatever, and we spent together about a month and a half. In that short period, month and a half, in 2002, uh, I've spent so much money. I bought a car. I bought like a little compact hatchback Opel Corsa used car. I mean, it wasn't expensive, but I spent so much money on gas, and we would go out like many times a week, and with her friends, and we would go to different bars and clubs, and I would spend so much money for alcohol. I would like buy like 5 bottles of champagne, and just you know, open it, and then and you know, spill the champagne, and you know, it was crazy. So we would just enjoy, you know, the life, and the money was just wasting away, and I spent so much money in that 45. I spent almost half my money. Like, I spent like $12,000 in 1 month, just just for this, and then about a month and a half in, my boss that I work for in America, he called my cell and told me, "Hey John, listen, I have a good job for you, but you have to come like right now. You know, I mean, the opportunity won't wait. Uh, you can make like $2,800, $3,000 a month." And I'm like, "Fuck me." I mean, and I started thinking, uh, like, what am I gonna do here in Czech Republic? I mean, I don't even have the money. I brought, I spent so much money, and with the money I have, I mean, I can't do anything. I mean, what kind of business I can do with, like, it was like a half million Czech crowns, right? So if I wanted to start a normal life, and I would get like my own place, and like apartment, man, I wouldn't have any money left for doing, anything else. I would still have to like go find me a job here for like really ridiculous money, and then in America I could be making like 3,000 crowns, which was almost like, 90,000, 100,000 Czech crowns a month, which was crazy money. So I didn't think twice about it, and I told my girlfriend that I'll be leaving to America. I'm going back to America, and I told her, but I want you to come, with me. But she didn't have the visa or anything, passport, whatsoever. She wasn't ready to come. So I told her, I'm gonna go now, and you take care of, all this paperwork, and you come, uh, you come after me, and we'll meet. I'll meet you in States. I'll wait for you over there in States. So I went ahead. I packed my bags, and I left again. I left my girlfriend in Czech, and went to America, and cleaning stores again. But that's actually when my story is starting to get really interesting, because since that day, I started moving a lot, from town to town, and I lived like in many different towns, cities, areas. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, like, in those 18 years I've been there, I probably moved like 30 times. I mean, I didn't stay in one place for too long, for very long, So, and maybe it's noticeable, but I got my beard shaved, cut, trimmed. I got my beard. I got my beard trimmed a little bit, because I was yesterday actually in Brno. The winter Olympics are underway right now in Pyeongchang, South Korea, and they have this Olympic festival going on in Brno exhibition center, and they have some attractions for people and for kids, mostly for kids. They have like a skating ring and curling ring, and while I was in Brno a few weeks ago, I actually applied to a casting call for this promotion event with Gillette and Mall.cz online store, uh, and they accepted me because I had a little bit of beard, and they replied to my answer, and they wanted to trim my beard. So so I actually went there yesterday for this promo event, and I signed contract, and they paid me 800 Czech crowns, which is about $40. 40 bucks for this. But I didn't care, about the money, or if I'm getting paid for that at all in that matter. But I just wanted to get out of this place, like get out of Havirov, get out of this apartment, this studio apartment, and just go somewhere. So I'm not so uptight and stressed and down, and I feel blue all the time. So I wanted to go out and travel and just clear my mind. So I went there and got my beard trimmed, and I shot some video and took some pictures. And this funny thing happened. All right, famous Czech tennis player, Radek Šafránek. I think that's his name, because I don't really follow tennis or any Czech tennis athletes. I don't really follow any of that. The only thing I'm following a little bit is ice hockey, but I don't really follow any of the sports like people usually do. So this guy, while I was sitting there in that barber's chair, and he was trimming my beard, uh, I didn't notice, I didn't see him, but he was like behind me, behind his chair, and he was like making funny faces, and and I was actually holding my cell phone like this, and recording myself while the barber was trimming my beard, and and I didn't notice Shafranek uh, at the time. And then the barber, he put like a rag over my face, like a hot rag over my face, and over my eyes I couldn't see. And this guy Radek, he put like hands like this over my face, and he was like trying to be all funny. And at that moment I didn't know he was there, but he's like really famous person. He's like the best, like a tennis player, like he's like a champion. He won some Grand Slams or whatever, but I don't really follow any of that. You can look it up. uh, I also, I started my Instagram, and I put these pictures and videos on Instagram, so you can look it up and see later. But it was kind of funny. And then the barber's sister, she was also taking pictures of this with her cell phone. So I went to her if she can send me the pictures over an airdrop, and she did send me the pictures. And I was looking at it, and I saw this guy in white, winter jacket, and I'm like, who is this? I mean, who's the Joker? And she's like, you don't know who that is? I'm like, no, I don't. You don't know this guy? No, I don't know him. That's Radek. This is the famous tennis player. He's got autograph. He's got signing event here. And I'm like, really? Oh yeah, actually, I heard about this guy. And I look closer. Yeah, I recognize this face because I read about this guy because he recently just ended his professional tennis player career. And I was like, what the hell, man? I mean, I like in my entire life, I've never seen anybody famous. I never met like nobody